Welcome, and thank you for tuning in to this 2021 General Election Candidate Forum for the Olympia City Council positions number 2 and number 4. This forum is presented by the League of Women Voters of Thurston County, along with Thurston Community Media. This year, we are happy to have 2 co-sponsors, the Asian Pacific Islander Coalition South Sound Chapter and Thurston Climate Action Team. The forum is being held electronically due to COVID-19. Candidates, moderators, and timers are all joining in by using Zoom links with the help of Thurston Community Media. A bit about the League. The League of Women Voters is proud to be a nonpartisan organization that never, ever supports a candidate or a party. But we are very active on educating ourselves and the public about public issues. We also lobby at the state and local level. The League registers new voters, and we encourage everyone to become a voter, study issues, and advocate on our positions. Despite its name, the League is open to everyone over the age 16 and up. I am Karen Farrell from the League, and I will be moderating this forum. Our timer is Karen Tweet. She is our local League president. The candidates for this position 2 are Huynh and Robbi Kesler. The candidates for position 4 are Gilman and Candace Mercer. For this forum, each candidate will have the opportunity to answer a series of questions. The candidates will be asked the questions in alphabetical order, and the questions will be alternated so that each candidate has a chance to start first. Each candidate will have 1 minute to respond. The timer will show you, you'll see the sign, which is purple, and when you have 15 seconds left, it will turn yellow. If you can't see it, I will remind you that your time has closed. I will ask Clark Gilman the following question first, and then Ms. Huynh, Robbi, and Candy will answer after that. Let me know if you need the question repeated. The question is, one of the city's goals is permanent housing solutions for the homeless. What should the city of Olympia do for these residents who might not obtain or keep permanent housing? Clark?
Thank you for the question, Karen. The city of Olympia is approaching housing for the unhoused sort of in 3 ways. One is helping people right where they're at in their vehicle, their tent, wherever, with support services to hopefully keep them alive first, right? The second, the largest effort we're taking right now is about creating permanent supportive housing. We've got over 250 units in the works, assisted with the home fund that voters approved here in Olympia. And then we're continuing to work hard on creating more broadly affordable housing and more housing in the community so that fewer people become homeless. It's not easy, it's not perfect, but I think this is what the city can and should be doing right now.
Thank you very much. Huynh?
Yeah. Can you repeat the question?
Yes. One of the city's goals is permanent housing solutions for the homeless. What should the city of Olympia do for those residents who might not obtain or keep permanent housing?
Thank you. I think that the city of Olympia should keep on with existing efforts, which would include building more permanent supportive housing and as well as emergency shelter space for houseless community members. We also have a scattered site program that assists people where they're at, providing services at some of our largest encampments in the city, as well as connecting them to housing with a plan. As far as additional needs, just continue to work regionally and educate folks on the need for permanent supportive housing and how it really means that a healthy home for our houseless community members increases our overall community health. Thank you
very much. Robbi, your response? Or would you like me to read the question over?
Thank you. So the City of Olympia really needs to focus on collaboration and working on this with other local jurisdictions, including Thurston County and the state. I personally have a good amount of experience helping to create intergovernmental agreements and working in a government-to-government way. Specifically, I would advocate for programs to prevent homelessness in the first place and for services that help existing homeless persons. I recommend and support policies that increase the supply of housing. Of course, working with other governments on that regional plan for mitigation sites and permanent supportive housing, permanent housing in general. I would like to formulate a city budget that provides adequate resources for crisis response and all of the other tools that are necessary for creating and lifting up those in our community that need it.
Thank you very much. Candy?
Well, those are a lot of nice words those other candidates said, but they're magical thinking. First of all, we have to set the tone in Olympia that unregulated urban camping is not acceptable in our community. It is harmful to the people living in the camps, and it is harmful to our community as a whole. We also have to set the tone that personal agency is a key to finding and staying housed. And if you do not have personal agency in getting your housing, you are going to fail. Permanent supportive housing is magical thinking. Permanent supportive housing costs $500,000 a unit in Seattle right now. We cannot afford that. And the time it takes to get it online means people are going to be suffering in the camps for a long time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think that's everyone. The next question goes to Yun first. What is your position on the city's resolution regarding Capitol Lake Deschutes Estuary draft environmental impact statement?
Thank you, Karen. Recognizing that I am a current council member, my position on this is that I agree with it. I agree with the actions of myself and council mates that the estuary option is the most financially sound, environmentally sound, and socially just option for the Capitol Lake Deschutes estuary discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. And Robbi, you're next.
Thank you for the question. So I have been following this, and it seems like the city's actual position on this is that the estuary is a good financial fit, and all of the other, social justice and environmental reasons. But I would really like to make sure that the city is focusing on the city's portion of this. Will it require additional infrastructure? And just making sure that, the position is also supported with that long range thinking and making sure that we're planning for the inevitable future of the Deschutes estuary. Right now, I'm seeing a lot of language that we are in support, but not so much focus on the work that's going to be needed to make sure that that's carried out in a multi-jurisdictional way with all parties present and doing their part.
Thank you so much. Candace, you're next. You're muted. Thank you.
I'm going to take the controversial position that we need to keep the lake as it is. It is a centerpiece of our town. It is beautiful. It's aesthetically pleasing. Tourism is a large attraction for our town. It brings a lot of money into our town. Unfortunately, right now, it is hard to attract tourists when the lake is surrounded by homeless camps. We need to clean it up and make it pleasing so that all residents can enjoy it the way they once did and feel safe there. There's also the cost factor. Again, this is progressive magical thinking that somehow we need to come up with all this money to fix a problem that doesn't really exist. I know there are problems with the lake model. I studied it, but I firmly believe that keeping the lake is in the best interest of Olympia.
Thank you for your response. And Clark, you're next.
Thank you. I am proud to be part of the City Council who sent a pretty clear message to the state in their environmental impact study around the Deschutes Estuary that there's really only one option, and that's restoring the river to its native estuary function that makes sense both economically and ecologically. And in terms of the city's actual efforts around, what sort of mitigation might have to happen, both our sea level rise adaptation plan and our West Bay study have been works in progress with the port and with the Squaxin tribe over the last several years to develop a plan for how we bring the most health to Bud Bay and to the river.
Thank you very much. The next question, we'll start with Robbi. You'll be the first one to respond. The COVID-19 pandemic is continuing to cause severe health crisis in our county and here and across the country. What is your position regarding Governor Inslee's mask mandate and vaccination mandate for state employees? Should the city employees be required to be vaccinated?
Thank you for the question. This is something that I've been thinking a lot about, and I think that the governor's mandate really empowered other governments and private businesses to make sure that we're keeping the public safe. As I've talked to business owners, many of them were waiting for further direction because as COVID has had a lot of different impacts, including, making sure that we haven't workers to do the jobs that are in our community. Some of that has been impacted by the waiting to hear what is going to come from both the federal and state level regarding vaccinations and masks. And I am a strong supporter of both. I really want to keep everyone in the community safe, including my family, my community elders, and all of that. So.
Thank you very much. Candy, you get to go next. Okay.
First of all, as far as COVID-19 goes, I feel that one part of the equation we have been missing is that of personal responsibility. We have community responsibility and we have personal responsibility. Each of us to assess our risk and adjust our actions accordingly. The mandated vaccination policy is wrong. It is morally wrong. It is creating a caste of citizens. I am coming at this from a disability perspective. Right now, an entire class of citizens are about to be cut off for life because of their inability to get a shot. This is wrong. We are going to be losing valuable employees to this, and I do not think it should be mandated on a city level at all.
Thank you, Ian.
Thank you, Karen. Could you please repeat the question?
Yes, the COVID-19 pandemic is continuing to cause severe health crisis in our country and here in Thurston County. What is your position regarding Governor Inslee's mask mandate and vaccination mandate for state employees, and should city employees be required to be vaccinated?
Thank you. So my position on the governor's orders for masking and vaccines is that, looking at the data, it would be hard to find a reason not to agree with it. Case counts has continued to rise. We are still very much in a pandemic. And as government and community leaders at the city level, it's our responsibility to keep folks safe. I am proud of the direction that the city has taken on this, which is to require vaccines or a requirement for weekly testing and having to submit a negative COVID test. We have bargained with our unions about this. And as well, we are making it, not only is it free, of course, but also very, very easy to get your vaccine and sharing information as well. So I support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Clark?
Thank you, Karen. I strongly support Governor Inslee's mask and vaccination requirements for state employees, and I advocated for them for intercity transit authorities and City of Olympia employees as well. And for Pete's sake, I wish that we weren't making a partisan or political issue out of public health concerns. It's both frustrating and scary. Night before last, half of the intensive care unit patients in St. Pete's died. 10 people died in one night, and we have a line of folks hoping to get on respirators. I don't know when this airs, when you're watching this, where we're going to be at, but it's still serious, and the safest thing you can do is wear a mask and keep your distance from folks, and let's conquer this together. Get vaccinated.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next question starts with Candace. The Public Broadband Act was recently signed into law. It gives cities unrestricted authority to provide internet services and to end users. What would the City of Olympia's role be regarding this new authority?
That's an easy one. I would fully get behind the city finding a way to make internet access a city utility. It would benefit so many people. And when the city is talking about equity, they're trying to make equity their big thing. Allowing people to have reasonably priced access to the internet so they can communicate, get jobs, keep in touch with the world. That's a no-brainer. It's a win-win for everyone. Nobody is happy with Comcast and how they're managing our services, and there's not really good, viable alternatives. So I think this is an excellent avenue for the city to explore, and I would be firmly behind it.
Thank you. Clark, you're next.
Thank you. Broadband access has been receiving attention at all levels of government, and it really accelerated during this past year with folks concerned about both how people might continue to work from home and how school children might continue to engage, in their online learning. Locally, the city's not leading, but the Public Utilities District and the Port were both granted new legislative authority to begin to try to close this broadband gap. And Timberland Regional Library has really stepped up to help be a partner in this. And I'm very much in support of the city dovetailing with those efforts and making more universal access to the internet. Thanks.
Thank you. Ian?
I do love it when you repeat the question, Karen, so I'm going to ask you to repeat it again.
Okay. Public Broadband Act was recently signed into law. It gives cities unrestricted authority to provide internet services to end users. What should the City of Olympia's role be regarding this new authority?
Thank you. This is something that I'm really excited about. The past couple of years, we've really seen a heightened importance for just how much we use the internet and how much we depend on it. As mentioned, not only are people working from home more, are students learning from home, and some are deciding that, this works for our family and we would like to continue working or going to school from home. And that should be available to folks. It also shines a light on an inequity of lack of internet access for some folks. And so we have an opportunity here to explore how we might expand broadband access, and I'm in full support of it. I also think that it is better for consumers to have more than one option for internet access or for a service. So I'm excited to get started on working on how we might move forward.
Thank you. And Robbi? Did I skip someone? Or Robbi, did you have a chance to respond?
I believe she's frozen, Karen.
Okay, folks, this is Deb. Hang on just a second. So we're going to start with like a shot of the gallery. Okay.
Yes, yeah, the galleries.
Okay. Okay, you were frozen there for a second, Robbi. Okay. Did you want Karen to repeat the question?
Actually, if she could,
Okay.
that'd be great, because then we can take it from her shot.
Okay. Actually, for us, it would be great if Karen would repeat the question. So, okay.
Okay.
So 3, 2, 1.
The Public Broadband Act was recently signed into law. It gives cities unrestricted authority to provide internet services to end users. What should the City of Olympia's role be regarding this authority?
Thank you for the question. So this was a really interesting kind of turn of events from a legal standpoint with the 2 bills that the governor signed related to this. And I think that the city should definitely be a leader in making sure that our residents have access to broadband. But because of that joint background and really giving lots of different jurisdictions the tools necessary to provide this service to end users, I think we need to make sure that we continue to partner with our neighbors like the port and just make sure that we're rolling this out in a way that benefits the most citizens and in a way that maybe combines resources and does so in a really great way. So thanks.
Thank you. Okay, one more question. Clark, we're going to start with you. The question is, recent legislation regarding the use of force standards for law enforcement has been controversial. Since the City Council adopts policy for the city, what is your position concerning these new laws?
The legislature passed really pretty ambitious de-escalation, use of force related legislation this last session that caught us and many other local jurisdictions a little bit by surprise. They got ahead of us. So we are learning more about it, but we're completely in support of the idea of having a less violent policing presence in the city, of using de-escalation, of using alternative staff people like our crisis response unit or our familiar faces to respond. So we're in a good position because we were a little ahead of the curve in having alternative responders. And we're working together with many other jurisdictions to better understand the law and make sure we're fulfilling the intent of the legislation.
Thank you. Ian?
Can you repeat the question, Karen?
Oh. Recent legislation regarding the use of force standards for law enforcement has been controversial. Since the City Council adopts policy for the city, what is your position concerning these new laws?
Thank you. Prior to these new laws being passed in the legislature, I worked with my colleagues to draft letters of support for these public safety bills in the legislature. And I am so pleased to see them being passed. I think that we are really in an extraordinary time, and these laws are getting us to where we want to be. And that is a more appropriate response to when situations happen in our communities. And now with all new things, we are implementing them at the city level and sort of working out the kinks. We're doing training, we're understanding more of what it means. And I look forward to only being able to execute them better as we bring perhaps new suggestions from the practitioner standpoint to the legislature to make these laws more effective. So I'm in full support.
Thank you. And Robbi?
Thank you. So the city does need to be prepared to budget for the training to roll out these changes. Generally, I believe they're great changes. I believe that Olympia has the potential to continue to lead the way in reimagining what policing looks like. I like community-focused policing, and I often reference the work that I did at the Deschutes tribe to make sure that all voices were at the tables, and it's important to meet people where they are. So I would like to look at ways to increase participation as these changes are rolled out, to make sure that not only are we enacting the state laws, but we're doing so in a way that the community also feels is transparent and has a really good way to track the reporting and progress.
Thank you. Candace?
The recent Washington State Legislature passed laws that reflect another instance of their magical thinking, that did not consider the intentions, the unintended consequences of their actions, and the impact it's going to have on crime victims and the population of Olympia. Right now, 70% of Olympia does not feel safe. 77% do not feel safe downtown at night. 70% want increased law enforcement. Our council right now cannot even provide basic public safety to its residents, yet they want to reimagine public safety. How about they reimagine it so people aren't getting raped, so women are not being assaulted by the lake, so political candidates are not being intimidated by Antifa. Our political force has been demonized and they are demoralized right now. They need the council's support.
Thank you. So now we're going to change our format a little bit. The candidates, we're going to have you ask each other, the person opposing you for your position, and you will have a chance to ask each other questions. The candidates will have an opportunity to ask the question, and you're restricted to 30 seconds. The person responding will have 1 minute to respond. So I'm going to start with Ian and Robbi. So Ian, would you like to go first, please?
Yeah, I have a question, if that's all right. So after we ask the question and then there's a response, is that it, or do we continue talking after that? Is there a response after?
No, you get one question and they respond to that, and then she will ask you a question and you'll respond to her.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll go ahead and go. Hi, Robbi. This is the first time that we've really gotten to talk. I am up to this point a little unclear about what your priorities are with your campaign, and so if you could please list your top priorities, that'd be appreciated. Thanks.
Thank you. So this question really could go a couple of different ways, but when I threw my name in the ring, I really believe that I have the best education and experience. At the end of the day, the job of city council members is administering the city. So I would like to focus on that specific job duty, making sure that we are adequately budgeting for the community's priorities, making sure that we have a safe and welcoming space as we continue to grow, and just in general, elevating the discussion to a very professional level. And I have the legal experience, the legal background, all of that, that would really make me a great fit for the city council.
Thank you so much. So now I'm a little confused about my own sheet of paper here. I think that the next response is from Robbi to ask Ian a question. And you have 30 seconds to ask, and she has 1 minute to respond.
Okay, so here's my question. As I've been out and about, there are numerous issues that are high on the list of concerns for Olympia voters, such as environmental issues, public safety, houselessness, property rights, to name a few. And there are different thoughts on the policies of how to address these issues. So what I want to ask you is, what would you say is the issue where you and I have the most disagreement? And in answering that question, please explain your policy position and your understanding of my policy position and the basis of how you created that. I have lots of information on my website, and we've been in a lot of these forums.
Let me just recap. There was a few questions in that, and I want to make sure I answer them. So you've been doorbelling and finding more top issues from community members, and you would like to know how I would tackle those top issues and where I think we have the most difference in policies in my understanding of your policies. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So thank you for the question. Quite honestly, I don't think that the 60-second allotment is going to allow me to answer all of those things. But simply put, I am running to retain a seat that I was appointed in January, and I'm so excited to do so. I have also been going out, meeting people at the doors and learning more about what they want to see, and also sharing my priorities, which is public health and safety, economic resiliency, and climate justice. I've been really focused on my campaign.
Thank you. Next is Candy will ask a question of Clark.
Councilmember Gilman. In the past 4 years, I have seen Olympia go from paradise to dystopia. In 2017, 90% of Olympians were happy with how the city was being run. Right now, that number is 23%. 87% of Olympians believe homeless response is on the wrong track. Given that record, why should Olympia give you another 4 years?
Thank you for the question, Candace. Here's why I believe Olympia should give me another 4 years. We are managing in the midst of multiple crises, and multiple crises that aren't uniquely Olympian, but are in every city I've visited over the last 4 years. I'm proud and confident of the path that we're taking in taking on issues, including unhoused folks, street-dependent folks. And I guess I would close by saying that being on city council isn't like getting a genie bottle and getting 3 wishes. It's really more about managing, being a trustee, providing oversight, and trying to keep all of the city efforts rolling. So that's why I'm proud to be on council right now, and I'm looking forward to continuing to serve. Thanks for the question.
Thank you. So Candace, Clark, what is your question for Candace?
Candace, many of us run for office inspired by other folks, and I'm wondering if you could tell us one current elected official who inspires you and what it is about that person that you find inspiring.
Thank you. That's an interesting question, and I actually have an interesting answer for that. I have thought long and hard about Olympia's decline and who is responsible for it. And one of the key people I believe that to be is Renata Rollins and her connection with just housing, and that leading to the soft approach on homelessness that has led to the decline of our city. I find Renata Rollins an inspiration. So does Dante Payne, but for a different reason. I find her an inspiration because I saw how one woman could influence the entire council to bend to her will. And I want to be the antidote to Renata Rollins. I want to get on the council and show how it can be really done and how to really care for people in a way that gets them out of the camps and does not keep them in the camps. That's the difference between Rollins and I. But I saw how one woman could change the council, and I want to be that woman in 2021 going forward.
Thank you so much. Okay, now each of you will have 1 minute for closing statement, and we will start with Candy.
Thank you. The real crisis in Olympia is lack of leadership. Nobody is willing to stand up and say enough. Enough to people living in inhumane camps, enough to people using open drug use and open drug dealing in our downtown corridor, enough to decriminalizing crime, enough to political violence and intimidation of candidates. The current council has lost control of our city. They cannot even provide basic safety. Why should they be given 4 more years to destroy our city? I will focus on a homeless response that meets the need of all of our community, including the unhoused. I will fully fund OPD. They are not the problem. I will stand by the victims of crime instead of shaming and gaslighting them. I have stood up to Antifa and I will continue to do so. Olympia for the win.
Thank you very much, Candace. Clark, you have 1 minute to put out your closing statement.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Karen. I have never had a job that I've loved more or been taxed more or engaged more with than serving on Olympia City Council. And probably one of the biggest takeaways I've had from the experience so far is that there's a tension that always goes on between whether Olympia is 50,000 people and those people's interests should come first, or whether it's $50 billion in potential investment and that growth and investment should come first. I come down pretty squarely on the side of taking care of the people who live in Olympia now, that the concerns of the residents, the future of the residents, the possibility of our kids finishing high school and staying in Olympia with housing and a good job is my priority. So thank you for the opportunity to participate in the forum.
You're welcome. Ian, we'd like to hear your statement.
Yeah, thank you. So in closing, my name is Huynh. I'm a current city council member. I was appointed to a vacancy this past January out of a field of 28 candidates. I have business experience and have done extensive equity work with marginalized communities. I'm well prepared educationally, and I'm also a former City of Olympia planning commissioner. I'm a longtime Olympian, a young person, a renter, a state employee, a woman of color, a first-generation college graduate in my family, a proud daughter of refugees and Olympia small business owners. I say this because these are among the many identities and perspectives that I bring with me to inform my decision-making. Since my appointment, I have worked with my colleagues to bring more people into the city's planning processes, supported public safety bills in our state legislature. We approved a hazard pay ordinance for grocery store workers and supported the Thurston climate mitigation plan and more. My top priorities are public health and safety, economic resiliency, and climate justice. I would be honored to earn your support to retain me, Huynh, for Olympia City Council Position 2. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Robbi.
Thank you. So in closing, thank you to TCM and the League of Women Voters for allowing us to be here today. My name is Robbi Kesler. I'm running for Olympia City Council Position 2. I grew up in Mason County. I'm a member of the Skokomish Indian tribe. I was the first in my family to go to college. I received my bachelor's degree from the University of Washington and went on to earn a full scholarship to study law at Arizona State University. I have several years of experience working for tribal government, state government, working within the federal government-to-government relationship, and I am a mother of 2 young children. My husband is a small business owner in Olympia, and I just really want to bring my experience and education to the benefit of all Olympians. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank all of you. Thank you and Clark Gilman, Robbi Kesler, and Candace Mercer for participating in this forum. We thank TC Media for producing this program, and we thank our co-sponsors, Asian Pacific Islanders Coalition of South Puget Sound and Thurston Climate Action Team. The forum will be available on TC Media channels and the League's website, as it will be on YouTube videos. We are also producing a forum for the other city council positions that will also be available through the league website and TCM. We are glad that you have taken the opportunity to view this forum, and we remind you to be a voter in the general election, which begins October 15th and closes November 2nd. Thank you so much.